welcome back to Food Prep Guide. If you have been curious about our new Mix in Jars cookbook and have questions about it, then this video is for you. We have had some questions come in and we thought, let's do a quick Q&A. This will not be a very long video at all, but I wanted to flip through and show you a few of my favorite recipes. I wanted to distinguish between the Christmas gift tags and the mason jar labels, and then I want to demonstrate how the mason jar labels work, okay? So the first thing I want to kind of discuss is differentiate what we mean by our Christmas gift tags, which look like this, and then our mason jar labels, which was a surprise that we did not announce beforehand. I will reveal it in this video. If you've already ordered your cookbook, you already have seen them. But I am running out of ink, y'all, so I only printed one. So we have mason jar labels. So what comes for free during the launch period, which ends at midnight Central Standard Time tonight. It might be Pacific Standard Time. Don't remember, but it ends around midnight tonight, okay? And these will be free with your order when you order within that time frame. These are printable, and they are Christmas tags that have the recipes printed right there on the tag, and the purpose for that is so that you can turn your homemade mixes that are in your cookbook into gifts for Christmas to give to your friends and family. This is what it looks like when it's cut out. You just punch a hole in there, use some twine or ribbon, and this is what it looks like. And that is the Christmas tags that come free with your order when you order before midnight tonight. The bonus product that is highly discounted during this launch is also our mason jar labels. While I talk to you, I'm going to cut this out. I ran out of cardstock. I highly recommend printing these on cardstock because it's just a lot thicker. But I ran out, so I had to print it on regular paper. But as I was making the Christmas gift tags, I thought, I really want these for myself. Like, they're really convenient to have the recipe printed right there on the jar. I mean, not printed on the jar, but on the label on the jar. And how convenient is that to stock your pantry with homemade baking mixes and side dishes and desserts and breakfasts and all that, and have all of the instructions that you need printed right on the jar. So I thought, how can I make these not Christmassy, for one, but also it doesn't really make sense for an everyday pantry item to have to cut out the label every time, get a piece of string, tie it around every single jar. Like, that's not practical. So we came up with a design where the label will go onto your lid. So here is our homemade oatmeal base. Obviously going through it fast, I need to make some new ones soon. But you'll take your label. I highly recommend laminating the labels, and I'm going to demonstrate like how I'm kind of moving these and using these in my kitchen. I highly recommend laminating them because then it's a one and done thing versus this is eventually going to rip, it's eventually going to get dirty. But if you laminate it, it's like print it out, cut them out, you're done. You've got this label essentially forever unless something ridiculously happens to it. But you put it right there on top of your lid and you screw down the ring, and then your instructions are right there on your lid. How awesome is that? So this, and when it's laminated, it kind of has a thicker, sturdier feel to it. I don't, you know what I'm talking about. You know what laminated things feel like. But that's what it looks like. We have one for all the recipes in the cookbook, but I wanted to distinguish because there seemed to be a little bit of confusion of Christmas gift tags, which you would give to your friends and family for Christmas if you want to. Just there for you. And then your own personal, everyday use, everyday kitchen mason jar labels. Okay, so with that distinguished, let me talk to you about how I am using these. So some of our master mixes, this is a great example of one of them, is you're making up a whole bunch and storing it in one jar, whether it's a quart jar or whether it's a half-gallon jar. And then when you go to make your recipe, you only need to use a couple tablespoons at a time, or a quarter cup at a time, or a half cup at a time. So you can see how one jar would last a very long time. So in those instances, the label will just always stay in this jar. But we also have recipes that the whole jar is like, here's an example, the cinnamon roll mix. The cinnamon roll mix, you're going to want to meal prep like 4 or 6 of these jars at a time because you're going to use the whole jar when you go to make cinnamon rolls. So when you are doing it that way, I would only put, now this is just me. This is just me and what I'm doing in my kitchen. So by all means, do what's best for you. But I don't want to print this 5 times. You know, I want to make it a little bit more efficient than that. So what I'm doing is I'm only printing out one of those labels at a time. And I will put it on the first jar in a batch in my pantry. And when I go to use this jar, and I have to remove the lid anyway, so I'm just going to take it off, take my label, and move it onto the next jar. So I'm not printing and laminating and cutting and doing all that for multiple jars. I'm just moving it to the next jar, if that makes sense. So I did want to clarify that and kind of show how I was moving it from jar to jar. Okay, so the other thing that I want to talk about is a few of my absolute favorite recipes. I want to start with probably my absolute favorite recipe in this whole book, and that is the master bread dough. That might not be a surprise to many of you because I get a little bit giddy when I'm making bread with this mix because of how nice and easy it is. But this one master bread mix makes a whole lot of bread, and actually I'm continuing to play around with it because if the base ingredients are there for bread, you can make so much more than pull apart garlic bread, sandwich bread, and Parmesan herbed breadsticks. But these 3 recipes are by far my favorite, which is why they made it into this cookbook. I have several other ones that are just, they're okay, but they're not like amazing, you know, but these are amazing. So they made it into the cookbook. So that's one of my favorites. I wanted to give you my top 5. So top 5, so number 2 is our cream of soup. I cannot tell you how good it has been to not have a bajillion cans of canned goods in my pantry. We use cream of chicken, cream of celery, and cream of mushroom the most often. That's why we put it in the book. Yep, each one of those are in the book because that's what we use in our kitchen most often. And I think that's probably pretty common, the most commonly used ones. But this one mix, you make it ahead of time and you can make all of those, and you really can make more. I mean, you can make cream of broccoli, just substitute the broccoli. And when you see the recipe, you'll understand how to plug in different vegetables. So if it calls for a tablespoon of dehydrated celery, you can swap that out for a tablespoon of broccoli and maybe even sprinkle in some cheese and you have like a condensed broccoli cheese. Like there's so many different things that you can make with this mix, which is why it's definitely in one of my top 5. Okay, next is, oh yes, the pasta salad. The bacon ranch pasta salad. I used to be such a fan of the Suddenly Salad bacon ranch pasta salads, but they make such a small amount for the money and the ingredients are not great. So we made our own, and that is one of our favorite quick lunches, especially on Sundays. We don't eat it every Sunday by any means, but it is on rotation for Sundays because I can make it the night before, set it in the fridge. No cooking has to be done on Sundays, which is kind of a rule around my house. Okay, and then next we have this vegetable dip mix, one of my absolute favorites. You whip it up with some sour cream, I think, and it's just really good with carrot sticks, especially broccoli and cauliflower. That's probably the 3 ones that we use with it mainly, but you can certainly use pita bread, chips, all kinds of vegetables. It is really good. Excuse me. The next one and the last one, I couldn't decide, so I'm just going to say salad dressings. And we have 5 salad dressings. I will show you the Italian dressing mix page and then what it looks like once it's made up. But the reason why the whole category is my favorite is because it solved a big problem for my family. And that's how a lot of these recipes came out, is solving problems in my family. And I don't mean big problems, I'm just saying meal prep, moving things more efficiently, saving space. And that was the big issue with salad dressings. We have 5 people in our family and everyone likes a different salad dressing. And so I will have at any given moment, or I used to, I would have at any given moment 5 to 7 salad dressing bottles, you know, half empty in the fridge, taking up so much space. So these mixes allow me to make up the dry components of Italian dressing. And this is one of those dressings, or one of those recipes where you only need 1 jar of it, and you only need to make 1 jar of it because you only use, what, 2 tablespoons. You only use 2 tablespoons at a time to yield approximately a cup of salad dressing. So there's a lot of tablespoons that fit in even just a pint jar, but definitely a quart jar. So that's one of those recipes where you only need to make one jar, but it gives you a good longevity as far as when you have to meal prep that jar again. And that's what all of this is about, y'all. All of this is about meal prep and making meal times, side dishes, desserts, so much faster, because we can just take the jar off our shelf that is already, yes, we're investing time in making those mixes all together or all at once, but we are front loading that work so that we can enjoy rest later. And that is how these mixes were birthed. That is what got me into researching mixes. And then once I researched mixes and had a bunch of recipes that were my go-to, I then started branching out and making my own and testing my own, type of mixes to get what my specific family enjoys. And when we were talking about it, it seems that a whole lot of other families enjoy those too, which is how the cookbook came about. Okay, friends, remember the launch ends at midnight tonight, so you still have time to get the lowest price ever and get those free Christmas gift tags. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.